schools, made much more money, lived better, had everything going, and then I decide to run for president. And I'll be honest, what we have to put up with these people and others it's incredible, but it's the greatest single decision I've ever made because our country is turning around so rapidly. I could not be happier despite what they put us all through. After years of building up other countries, we're finally building up our country. Isn't that nice? It's time to finally take care of our own. And we're also aggressively combating the opioid epidemic, which is horrible. And as a result of our nonstop efforts and billions of dollars invested, last year we saw the first nationwide decline in drug overdose deaths, and it was a very big decline in nearly 3 decades, 30 years. And at the center of America's drug crisis, this is where the Hispanics know it better than anybody. People said, oh, the Hispanics won't like a wall. I said, I think they're going to love it. They won't like border security. I think they're going to love it. You know why? Because you understand it better than other people. But at the whole center of this crisis is the drugs that are pouring in, and you understand that when other people don't understand it. The border crisis. Everyday dangerous criminal cartels smuggle vast quantities of lethal narcotics across your southern border, including heroin, meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. And we're stopping them now. You see the kind of numbers. We're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars worth. We've had some shipments where it could kill half of the country. Some of the fentanyl and some of the bad, really bad stuff, if it were distributed, could actually has the power to kill half of the country. This is like a warlike situation. That's why you're liking Trump, because you're not going to let that happen. If you want to stop the drug smugglers and the human traffickers, how about the human traffic? And they traffic, really, for the most part, in women. That's what they traffic in. It's women. They're not trafficking in men. They capture women and they bring them across the open borders, and they don't go through ports of entry where you have guards standing there with guns and rifles and everything else. They go out into the desert areas and they hang a left or they hang a right and they come in. But now when you have a wall, they can't do that, right? You can't do that. And so many of these Democrats that are against the wall, it's common sense. Look, you know what I saw the other day? Where the Democrats are having their convention, their national convention. They just gave out a tremendous contract. You know what it's for? They're building a big wall around the building. They're building a big wall. A massive wall. We should tell them, open borders, let anybody come in. And a few years ago, almost every one of these, they're on tape. That's the problem with politics. 3 years earlier, they could say, look, I saw Senator Schumer, I saw Nancy Pelosi, I saw all of them. They said, no, we need a wall. We must have a wall. We must have President Obama. We must have a wall. We must stop people from coming into our country. Illegally, we have to stop it. We need a wall. Now, a few years later, they don't want a wall. You know why? Because anything I want, they want to do the opposite, and that's okay. That's the only reason. But if you want to stop the drug smugglers, human traffickers, and vicious MS-3 gang members, which we're taking out every year by the thousands and getting them the hell out of our country because of ICE. And if you want to stop all these people from threatening our communities and poisoning our youth, you know, it's poisoning our youth. That's what it is. It's nothing other than that. It's very simple. They're poisoning our youth. You have only one choice. You must elect Republicans. And to be honest with you, you've got to elect President Trump. We need 4 more years. President Trump. How about these phony Democrats? They started with Russia, Russia, Russia. That turned out to be a fraud. That turned out to be a fraud. Then they went to race. Do you believe that one, race? I'm the least racist person in this room. Then they went to recession. There's going to be a recession. Oh, please let there be a recession, please. Because we have a better chance of defeating him if there's a recession. And unfortunately, the stock market's only a few points from its all-time high, which we've broken on, I think it's well over 100 times. We broke the all-time record. And now they have a new one. And I'm enriching myself. Let me tell you, by doing this and taking this particular job, which I love, it will cost me billions and billions of dollars. But if somebody from the Middle East that I never saw before comes in and stays at one of my hotels for an evening and pays $439, emoluments. Nobody ever heard the word emolument before. Emolument. Nobody ever heard that word. Emolument. He's enriching himself. If somebody buys a tank of gas in Scotland from an airport that I don't own, and they happen to go to a hotel, he's enriching himself. Like 20 people. I'm going to lose billions of dollars, and that's okay. I expected to do that when I did it. I didn't know what would happen if I lost. Can you imagine? Supposing I lost, and we would have had the same basic rhetoric. I mean, winning was great. Supposing, you know, I'm doing all the things, I'm telling you all the same sort of things. Supposing I didn't make it, I'd have to go around, I would have lost and lost billions. Then I would have been really unhappy. But I'll tell you what, I expected that when I did this, in terms of opportunity, in terms of certain places, they can never do as well when you have this kind of rhetoric. They can never do. So I'll lose billions of dollars, always expected. They say I enrich myself because somebody's going to stay at my hotel. It doesn't work that way, folks, and these are very, very dishonest people, and they know it. So they've given up on every other hope. But it doesn't work that way. You know it too. You get it. The Democrat agenda of open borders places vast burdens on your communities and your schools and your hospitals and public safety, all at the expense of hardworking New Mexico families and throughout our country. Sheriffs and commissioners from 9 Mexico counties recently sent a letter to your state's congressional delegation begging them to vote for strong border security. They want in New Mexico. They don't want open borders. They don't want criminals pouring into your communities and doing what they do, and we won't even talk about that. They want strong, these are people that are with you, in many cases Democrats. They write letters, we need strong border security. You know, in San Diego, California is very difficult, always complaining, not doing great. But they wanted a wall in San Diego, good mayor in San Diego, by the way. They wanted a wall. And I said, you know what, let's build it someplace else, because California, you know, once we build it, they'll complain. But then I said, you know, the people are pouring in. They needed it. They're pouring into San Diego, like going all over the place. And people that had houses, they didn't like people running over their gardens all day long, coming in from the other side. So we put